circularity is important for companies from multiple perspectives. One thing is you can see that customers are actually caring more and more about this. So if you want to be, you say, attentive towards customer requests, then you need to also have a good answer in terms of circularity. And with only 4% of Danish companies being somewhat circular, there's a large potential actually to increase that. And raw materials are important because there's fewer of them, meaning that they increase in price. Also means you will have a less resilient supply chain if you do not consider circularity, but also just as a company to actually make a difference in the world, circularity is a way to go about it. As a startup, you don't have a legacy with you, which is brilliant because then you can design a product, but also a supply chain that is actually circular to begin with. It's a golden opportunity also because investors and customers and everybody else is looking for it. And to be honest, requirements from, for example, legislators are coming. There's more and more, and a lot of them have to do with having a circular business model. A key point for a circular business is to figure out how do you actually make money without using resources or using less resources. Take-back systems are a super important solutions to this. Because in a normal system, you would produce something and then put it into the waste bucket, and you as a company would get nothing out of it at the end of its life. A take-back system allows you as a company to take the product back and either capture the materials at the end of life, so you can use that as input for a new manufacturing system, or you can take the product back and repair it and then sell it for a second or a third revenue. To create a take-back system, I normally say there's no easy way, there's only less hard ways to go about it. But what you want to make sure is that you start out by trying to experiment. There are 4 typical barriers. One is, where do we begin? Because this is new for everybody. So you don't have the knowledge about who could help me as a supplier or where do I get my hands on the products. So you need to set out a plan and be ready to learn from it. The second barrier is most companies don't really know how to get their hands on their products. So you need to map out where are our products at the end of life, who would be an end user. Go to your distributors, go to your, for example, service partners and say, okay, do you have our products? And how can we actually then get them back? A third barrier is to create value out of products at the end of life. So that means figuring out which kind of value recovery strategy do you want to work with? Do you want to take a product apart, harvest the materials? Do you want to set up a repair shop and repair it so it can go into the market for a second life? It's up to you. It depends on your product, but you need to be attentive towards the details. And the fourth barrier is how do you make a business case? And that is a lot of learning by doing, by figuring out what drives cost up and down and who could impact the cost in your ecosystem, but also who can help you capture the value and create the value for customers at the end of the product's life. What often happens is that a complete product goes into a shredder and then it's sorted after the shredder. What we're trying to do is take a complete product that cannot be repaired, take it apart and look at it and say, okay, which components could be reused in our manufacturing system and which components, because some are wear and tear components, should be then recycled into the same level of quality of material as it was when we purchased it. So we're working a lot with waste handling companies and what you would call scrap dealers to figure out how can we actually create cleaner fractions of materials that create more value for them and for us. Let me give you an example. If we deliver a complete product to a waste handler, we get very little value out of. But if we start taking the separate fractions apart, all of a sudden it has more value for us and more value for a scrap dealer because they will get, for example, clean aluminum. They can just take our aluminum and sell it directly to aluminum manufacturing plant. The best advice I can give startups is to go out and experiment. Think small, don't think big. But when you think small, you are also often much more adaptable in the system that you build, and you haven't invested that much, so you can always pull out and go somewhere else if it doesn't work. And be ready. It takes some time to set up a supply chain that can actually bring value from a take-back system. But go out and try and do something and be ready to learn from that.